All righty, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for a special episode of the War Room. Normally, we have our little show on every Saturday at 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. But this week, we decided to change things up a little bit and have a special episode in honor of some really special guests. Of course, we have some award-winning designers, owners, you name it, they've done it, and we're proud and honored to have them on the show to talk with them tonight. We have, of course,
A-listers.
Yeah. I mean, these guys are so big, I can't even believe they decided to come down to our level. Yeah. We have the man himself, Mr. Mark Walker. Good evening, sir. How are you tonight?
Good. I'm trying to figure out how to wear my glasses or not.
I know. I just take mine off.
It makes you look distinguished, Mark.
Yeah, right.
Absolutely. And of course, we have the Hermanator, Mr. Hermann Luttmann.
Thank you, and thank you for the full house. Thank you for all you guys showing up.
You're welcome.
I got back from vacation just for today.
Thank you, Tony.
I was up in a little German village.
It's past midnight here, but because it's you, Herm, nobody else. I wouldn't do it for anybody else.
You're the best, Dean. Thank you.
I was in a little German village up in Michigan.
Look at the SteamYard thing. You let me put a little subtitle on there. I don't know what that. When was that option put up there?
That is cool. Now, Herman. Now you spoiled it. Now I'm going to get all my guests coming in, and they're going to want to put their own little.
You must have upgraded the software or something.
I did. So so we've been talking. Of course, a month ago we had the award show that came out. It kind of came and went without much fanfare, and I'm like, this is not real. We need to get together and talk with some of these people and talk about all the hard work. I mean, Herman, to design one game, how many hours on average would you say is it to just sitting there and calculating and putting it all together? We're talking thousands of hours, aren't we?
I don't know about thousands, hundreds certainly. So something like A Most Fearful Sacrifice, I mean, we worked on that for a good year. I mean, between all the play testing and the writing and yeah. Right? I mean, conceptually, it actually started a couple of years ago, but the actual, hardcore working on the scenarios and the design and the art, yeah, that was a good year.
What about actually knowing the subject? Was it a subject you knew a lot about anyway, because you're interested in it, or did you have to do that research?
Well, it's interesting you say that. I don't pretend to know more about Gettysburg than many of the people that show up on this show or show up on Facebook or board game. I mean, there's a lot of people that really know this thing intricately. I mean, Claude Whalen knows this stuff better than I do.
And Rick Barber, God bless him.
Exactly. Rick knows that ground, and he was instrumental in helping us, or at least helping me, shape some of the things that we should include and not include, and all, So I guess the bottom line is this is really a team effort, and I know that sounds something you just say and but
I totally agree, and that's why I wanted to really have Mark on here, because if you could have the greatest design, you can have the greatest game, and you give it to a manufacturer and they don't live up to their end of the bargain, and they don't create an awesome game, and they have a terrible rule book, and they have a terrible missing counters, and they have errata and everything else, the game is going to be a dud. So it really takes, in essence, two parts to create this. And that's why I really wanted to have Mark on here, because I think it's important to know. It's not just,
I thought you wanted me on here to talk about the long road. No,
we do. We want to talk about all the road.
Yes.
All right.
Okay. Yeah, we want to talk about all the games for sure.
The interesting thing, and I think Herm and I have said this before when we've been on here. Fearful Sacrifice was a perfect storm, but in a good way. I from the get-go, and Herm will tell you this was the exact conversation we had.
Mm-hmm.
I hope this doesn't sound pretentious because I don't mean it that way, but as a producer and a publisher, you are in this to make money or you won't be in it very long. And I told Herm I wanted to make the game, the Gettysburg game that would be considered the epic and definitive Gettysburg game. So we could have used paper maps and half-inch counters and done the exact same design, which is just a beautiful design, and it wouldn't have made quite the splash. I told Herm I want it huge. I want mounted boards. I want people to need to work out with weights to be able to lift the box. And
that's you got that.
And nail that.
and he agreed, and that was our idea from the get-go. We had a couple of hiccups that had nothing to do with the design. I wasn't super happy with the player aid card in the first edition. The type was a little small. We fixed that in the second one. But in general, I think we came across with not only was it an excellent design, but it was a design that would wow you with the graphics and just the heft of the game in general. We knew, and believe me, there were lots of people that complained about how big the maps were. And I would just tell Herman, for every one person that's complaining about how big the maps are, there's 25 that are buying it just because it has 25 it has 15 square feet of maps. So,
and I remember you and I discussing the fact that Rick Barber's work was so intricate and so beautiful that it really needed to have those blown up, beautiful hexes to really show it and to make it playable at the same time.
Yes, and it does such a great.
I guess you're trying to show the map, but right now,
showing up the map for some reason it won't show just the map.
We're looking into a black hole in abyss.
I mean, it should have won. That's a great map. It should have won. Just one. It's a monocolor map. Oh, no, there it is.
There it goes. Yeah,
that looks great, doesn't it?
So, I mean, winning best war game presentation or whatever it was, whatever the category was called. I think it was called presentation. I mean, that's to Mark's credit to produce this thing, and to the art team, both Rick and Jose.
Yeah, actually, I would actually like to go through all the Charles S. Roberts awards and kind of just talk about all, just kind of highlight all of them.
Sure.
We have the best Ancients game. The winner was Great Battles of Julius Caesar Deluxe Edition by GMT Games. Best Medieval War Game. A winner was Alvarado by GMT Games. And the best Gunpowder War Game was No Peace Without Honor Compass Games. So that was the first category. Second category was Best Early Modern War Game was Plains Indian Wars GMT Games. Best Napoleonic War Game was Bonaparte in the Quadrilateral by OS.
Oh, Quadrilateral, yeah. That
Operational Studies Group, yeah.
And the Best American Civil War Game was a winner, A Most Fearful Sacrifice.
I didn't even hear of that game. What's up with that?
Yeah. Why?
It doesn't.
No.
The name doesn't quite ring as well as Bonaparte in the Quadrilateral. That one just rolls off your tongue. So, I mean, we were fighting an uphill battle there.
Yeah, really.
Let's go to the next category. Best Early 20th Century War Game. Winner was 1914 Knock Paris, Vivuca Simulations. Best World War II game was Pacific War 2nd Edition, GMT Games. Best Modern War Game winner was Flashpoint South China Sea, GMT Games.
Harold Buchanan.
We have Best Hypothetical War Game. The winner was the Third World War Design Signature Edition by Compass Games.
Mark, you like that game.
And I have a problem with that because I feel the Long Road should have been in Best Hypothetical Game.
Right.
Moving on.
Although it does have standard World War III-ish type things.
Well, which all that stuff does. And as a matter of fact, I will say this about the winner. That is a fantastic game, and I couldn't wait for it to come. I pledged for it on Kickstarter, and I broke it out and played the West German scenario, just the Germany into Europe scenario all the way through. Love the game.
Best science fiction or fantasy game winner, The Long Road, Flying Pig Games designer, Mark H. Walker. Nice job, Mark.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Oh, you beat out Nemo's War. Look at that.
Nemo's War. Yeah.
Yeah.
And others
I have a problem with that one being on the list because that game is I've had that for years. I know they re-released, but I've had that game for years.
That was designed back in the early VPG days.
Yeah, and then they did.
Yeah.
Best solitaire or cooperative war game winner was Skies Above Britain GMT Games by Jerry White and Gina Willis. That's awesome stuff. Get some Laneys in there, which, congratulations to them. Best expansion for an existing war game was Fall of Saigon for Fire in the Lake by GMT Games. Best war game magazine was Strategy and Tactics.
Oh boy.
Then the Redmond A. Simonstein Memorial Award for Outstanding War Game Presentation. And this is what Mark was alluding to earlier, and that is a mouthful to say. But basically what that says is that is the best produced looking game out there. Winner of Most Fearful Sacrifice, the 3 Days of Gettysburg Flying Pigs Games. Congratulations again, Mark. Well done.
And Herm.
Oh, Herm had nothing.
Jose and Rick.
Herman,
And Jose and Rick. Yep.
Yeah.
And then, of course, War Game of the Year winner of Most Fearful Sacrifice. 3 Days of Gettysburg Flying Pigs. Nice job, Herman. Way to go. Congratulations.
Well done, you two. Yeah.
Well, I mean, as Mark was saying before, and I was saying too, is that it was a real team effort because I couldn't have done it without Mark. We couldn't have done it without Rick. We couldn't have done it without our development team, right? Claude, Zeke, Fred, and Steve. Those guys play tested the living crap out of those scenarios. That's why they're so well balanced.
And Jose.
Who
will now be doing the maps also for the Rock of Chickamauga.
Oh, wait till you see the maps of the Rock of Chickamauga.
They're nice.
They're really great.
But I'm still withholding. I may change the cover to a Confederate general because it's got a Union general
already.
Oh no.
I just love putting the Confederate generals up there so I can hear people saying I'm promoting a lost cause.
Yeah, the lost cause. Yeah.
Yada.
Oh my gosh. It's getting deep. It's getting deep. People are just looking for things to complain about. And
it never ends.
I mean, we're here to obviously highlight and talk about your great accomplishment, but let's just take a second and say congratulations to everyone that had at least a submission and all the great war game companies out there, all the great war game designers. And even if they didn't win, I mean, that is still a lot of time and effort and dedication. So
yes,
actually, people ask me.
I would like to call out Mike Lambo. Yeah, actually, right. That's it's just Mike. It's just Mike. And he comes out with these games routinely, and he puts them up on Amazon. I don't know if you guys have played them, but I have. Excellent. He's an excellent designer. And I personally voted for him. I'm sorry, Tony. What?
I've played the Fields of Normandy. Yeah, I did too. Yeah, that one was just absolutely awesome.
And the other chap who's like the another Mike Lambo, if you like, is Thomas from Historic Wings. He's popping these out. He's doing a Mike Lambo. These are solitaire air games, and on Amazon. and they're great. And these guys shouldn't be forgotten. Mike and Thomas shouldn't be forgotten because they do a lot of work.
What's his name, Ruff? What's his name? I'm going to write it down.
Thomas Van Heer. But
to Jester's point, I think the real honor is being nominated for these awards.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, he just put this one out just the other day.
This is a brand new one.
Special.
I'm in this. I'm a pilot.
Nice. How do you spell his last name, Ruff?
It's Vanhare.
He's over in Sweden, so that means he's asleep right now.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but he's an air expert.
He's on our Facebook group. We can contact him and let him know you're trying to get in touch with him.
But to Jester's point, I think the real honor is being nominated because you were nominated by a committee of people who are deeply embedded in the hobby, right? So, when people are asking me, "Oh, I hope you win," I go, "I'm not really worried about winning or losing. I'm proud that we were nominated, right? Because
absolutely
everybody who's nominated has done something special, and people recognize that."
Yeah,
I wanted to win. Sorry.
Of course, we all want to win.
Hey, I mean, Kurt and I were talking about this hobby's always had a problem with self-promotion.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I mean,
absolutely.
I agree with everything you're saying, Herm, that I wanted you to win. I wanted me to win. If there was any other flying pig or tiny battle game, I wanted them to win. And that isn't putting down any game on that list whatsoever. But we all try to make the best games we can make.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you believe in your games and you want them to win. And at this time of, in our wargaming history, does winning an award like this make any difference to A, Mark, your business, and B, Herman, your popularity from companies to say, oh, choose me next?
Right. Mark, you can go first.
Not a lot. Not a lot. I'm sure it helps somewhat. I think that we as an industry need to promote these awards more and make them a bigger thing. I can tell you, I love going to game conventions. I don't rep the company anymore, just because we're lucky and everything's going great. I don't really need to go to game conventions to rep the company, but I enjoy very much going to play. And I talk to a lot of gamers, and I'll tell you guys, the bitter truth is, if you pull 100 random gamers from Origins, let alone Gen Con, ask them what a war game is, you know what they'll say? Warhammer 40K. Yeah. We're not only a niche, we're a niche within a niche now.
Niche of a niche, yes.
I mean, it's not that when people think of war games, they're thinking Warhammer 40K, they're thinking of Malifaux, they're thinking of what's the Bolt?
Flames of War.
Yeah, Flames of War. Yeah. And then those are what they think of as war games, and very innocently think of them that way. It's not like they're saying, "Oh, I disregard those chit and hex games." They don't even think of the chit and hex games.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And this is one opportunity we have. I emailed Gary last night, Ardwolf, and I said, "Hey, did you guys put a press release out to ICV2, or did you put it out to Board Game Geek?" Because those are more widespread audiences, and we need to talk about what we're doing. I mean, what we're doing is fun, and it isn't better or worse than Euro games and Ameritrash and even family games. It's just its own thing, but it's its own thing that I don't think we're promoting well enough. Over to you, Herman.
We're doing a terrible job on that, and I'll let Herman give his 2 cents, and then I'll give you my 2 cents.
Well, I totally agree. We have to stop hiding from the mainstream gaming community and just be proud of what we do. And that includes us adapting a little bit to the modern audience, right? I mean, Mark and I talk about this all the time, and I try to do it in my design work, and so does Mark. We try to come up with new mechanics, a little bit more easygoing mechanics. It doesn't have, it doesn't have to be Zox, and it doesn't have to always be hexes and counters, but you can get that. Thank you.
Thanks, Herm, and thanks, Mo, and thanks for the video on Conquering the Valley.
I was going to ask you if you saw that. He did a great job with that, didn't he?
He did. He really did.
So, part of it is us opening up our, we can do a simulation of a historical battle and still make it palatable to a general audience by simply changing some of the mechanics. And this is one thing that I've learned, and Mark's learned too, by playing other games. And we've talked about this a million times. You learn that certain mechanics can be adopted to war games, right? Dice placement, deck building. By Iron and Blood uses a river system that was used in a fantasy Conan game, and Aeon's End, right? I mean, all these kinds of games have mechanics that are palatable and accessible, but they can still be used to recreate historical battles and campaigns.
What do you think the old school think of these newfangled ways? Because
they don't like it.
You think of a board game from, say, MMP. They virtually all look the same, apart from what's on the counters. The maps have a certain look.
And that's part of what Mark's talking about. It's that old.
And I'm used to it. I'm used to it. But when I open a game and I go, wow, that's got to be a good thing, isn't it? I mean, it's not. I mean, war games are more popular in the 70s and 80s. So if you won an award then, you won an award. But now, as you say, you've got to open people's eyes. And is it still the fear that when you say war games, oh, you like war games, that's killing and all that? Is that old chestnut still around?
Well, I mean, dungeon crawls are killing too.
But they're not real, are they? You're killing monsters.
Oh, but it's still it's still conflict simulation in a fantasy world or a horror world.
I'm playing devil's advocate here.
No, I understand. No, I understand what you're doing. Yes, but
yes,
I mean,
I think that's true. I think that is true. I'm going to assume that that's true because to me that is laughable. You've got cardboard counters. Okay, nobody's getting hurt. Okay,
I know that. You know that.
Yeah, we all know that. But I do think for people that are uneducated about war games, that is true, and I don't know that we can change that. My point is to promote the part of the hobby that we do have. To promote what we have, and then maybe worry about changing people's thinking. But to make every war gamer in the world know what these CSR awards were and make them a big deal just to us, and then maybe we can go from there. There's so many misconceptions. I mean, Herm just mentioned one of them, in that these games are somehow warlike. They are just games. The second misconception, I see this all the time. I see it on Dice Tower. They will offhand mention, well, it's not as complicated as a war game. Herm and I get together routinely. He just bagged on our next meeting, but that's okay.
No, we moved the meeting. I didn't bag on it.
We get together routinely and we play some war games and have a great time, but mainly we play Ameritrash type conflict games, right?
That's my sort of thing, yeah.
And there are many times we've talked about this where their games are much more complex than the average war game. Yet somehow we have this this thought that all war games are complex just because we say rules 7.1, and all that does is actually make it easier because you know exactly where to go in the rules. I think that scares some people away sometimes.
It is absolutely a legacy. You're known for your legacy, right? Legacy war gamers That's what they did back in the 70s and 80s. And that's what everyone thinks we continue to do because they don't know any difference. Nobody's opened their eyes and changed their views on anything. So the only way to get more people to say, wait a minute, wargaming isn't an 800-page manual anymore, is to show them it's not. That's why when I talked to Herman the other day, and after the awards came out, I said, well, geez, Herman's going to be swamped with interviews, and I'm just going to give him, just let him be for a while. And then I contacted him, and I'm like, hey, you got a chance we can get together and talk? He's like, yeah, I got plenty of time. I'm like, what do you mean? What do you mean? You should be swamped. You should be having people come up to you. Yeah. You should be trying to get in contact with you. You are the winner of War Game of the Year. That should be a big deal to every war gamer in the world.
Can I just get in? Have any of the war game media, magazines, publications been knocking on your door saying, let's promote?
And I can tell you now, without sounding too generalized, but I think a lot in the traditional war game community don't take a game like A Most Fearful Sacrifice seriously because because I think Mark and I designed the game to be accessible. All right. And I get a lot of pushback on that. Let's see what that says. Thank you. Oh, that's Ryan. Hey, Ryan. I met Ryan at WBC, man. Great guy. But Blind Swords is always considered a light-ish war game for some reason, right? Because it doesn't have 80 pages of rules and 2,400 counters and 8 maps.
But hey, look at Eldritch Horror. I think that's got a 30-odd page rule book.
Right.
Those days are gone.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Nemesis, 30-odd page.
I've got Euro games on my shelf that will blow away any war game that I own on rules, complexity, and just how difficult the game is to play in a complexity scale. I got Euro games on my shelf right now that would blow every war game I own out of the water.
And I totally agree because I've tried to play some of those.
Yep. I was at Fall In with Byron Collins of Collins Epic War Games and Uwe Eichert. And Byron said, you've got to play this game Agricola. It is so much fun. And Uwe and I said, sure. Yeah. Okay. And he goes, well, I know how to play it. I'll set it up. 45 minutes later, Uwe and I said, we're just going to go to bed, man. I mean, he didn't even have it set up. Mm-hmm. And there's a point here. The point is that yes, war games are more complex. And sometimes I think the subject isn't interesting, but to get off the subject for just a split second, for example, Jester, my oldest daughter, Denver, bought Jaws, because she saw you playing it. And I said, oh, man, that looks like so much fun. She read the rules. She goes, this is pretty complex. And that's just if you want immersion, most times, unless you've reached some magic point, perhaps Undaunted Normandy reached that or something. If you want immersion, you have to have some complexity.
Right. Hey, Joe.
Hey, Joe, how you doing? Welcome, everyone, by the way. If you're in the chat, say hello to everyone out there for us. Fred is in the house as well. Good friend of the
channel. Right, Fred. That's our motto.
Truer things have never been said. I used to say that about ASL, and I like ASL, but it's like it's easy to make a complex game. It's difficult to make a simple yet immersive game.
Yeah, I think there is just a huge, and I'll be the first to admit it. I'm a crossover gamer. I play war games. I play sports games. I play Euro games. I play Ameritrash. You name it, I play it. I play anything and everything. I'm not just a war gamer.
I think we all are, aren't we? I think we all are. I think you've got to be.
I think so. Yeah.
I think you've got to be.
There is so many misconceptions on wargaming in this industry, in this hobby. It is like if just solitaire wargaming. If you were to walk up to somebody at Origins and say, name one solitaire war game they would look at you with a blank look on their face. They would have no idea. There is
Right.
hundreds of solitaire war games now.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It is exploding as a new
It is.
Tony?
And the only similar thing is out in the regular gaming world would be dungeon crawls. There's a lot of solitaire, a lot of those Kickstarters that go for millions with a lot of minis and stuff. A lot of those are solitaire focused.
Or because
some of them are quite good.
Because they're cooperative, and a cooperative game is so
Right.
easy to solitaire. You just
Right.
play a
All
couple of characters.
co-op games can be played solo. Yes.
So maybe war games need to be co-op sometime. Maybe,
Well,
maybe.
I'm working on that.
I thought you might.
They need to be multiplayer. That is one
Absolutely.
thing with war games that
And not just trying to
better.
jam 8 guys into a super large war game. That doesn't quite work. I mean, you're talking about something designed to be multiplayer. Yes.
It must be hard to design a game that's designed for 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and so on, because don't you have to have different rules instead of just bolting on? See, a lot of the early games went solitaire. They just bolted on a solitaire thing. It didn't work.
Right. No, it doesn't normally work. No, it's an afterthought.
Yeah. So if you're going to make a multiplayer, that includes 1, 2, 3, 4. So
yeah, but if you do it cooperatively, it's actually a lot easier because you're talking about one side, and you're just Plum Island Horror, for example, can be played from 1 to 4 people, and how you handle that is just
up to you.
Built into the rules, so it doesn't feel any different.
Yeah, but it's just the industry as a whole needs to just step up at every moment and make, they need to raise their banner themselves. They need to start talking about themselves. They need to pound their chest once in a while. You don't get credit for nothing in this world unless you show people what you're doing anymore.
Right.
Wargaming just isn't doing that. They're just sitting back waiting to see if somebody sees, hey, I'm over here. I'm sitting in the corner by myself. Somebody needs to stand up, pound their chest, and say, look at us, because we're not what we used to be. I mean, 1970s and 1980s wargaming is nothing like it is nowadays. It is a completely different animal, and most people think it's the same thing.
Yeah.
And just as I would say, of all the different gaming categories, wargaming has got the biggest change. Euros games hasn't changed in 20 years. They haven't changed much. A few new mechanics and stuff. Wargaming, on the other hand, has innovative. They've got new designs. They've got the production quality, as you can see by everything that went into Hermann's game, is through the roof on most of these games now.
But I think still the reason that Most Fearful, and I guess I can credit the CSR awards for this, is that Most Fearful Sacrifice had that production value, but it's still only a 24-page rulebook. So it's still accessible, right? So we didn't try to, it's designed to be immersive, feel like you're at a civil, at Gettysburg, but not with 80 pages of rules and 1,500 modifiers and 8,000 charts. And that, I think, was the sweet spot we got to with that game.
Yes, D-Day dice. Yep.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And I agree with that. And I think the first step is to promote ourselves to ourselves.
Yes.
What we're talking about now is promoting ourselves to someone outside of the hobby. Our first step needs to be promoting ourselves to people inside the hobby. Like with the CSR awards, we need to make that a big deal. We need to make it like the trade deadline for MLB. We need to make it like draft day for the NFL. I mean, you know what I'm saying.
I agree.
And also that game y'all play in Europe, whatever y'all do.
Oh, Ruff's not a fan, so
okay. I am a fan, but
I am too. Yeah.
Women are playing
the cricket.
Whose fault?
We need to first promote it to ourselves. I mean, of all the people that play our kind of war games, I wonder who knows about the CSR awards. I found out about the CSR awards because Herman's developer, Fred, who may still be online, I don't know how to tell, emailed me. That's how I found out about the CSR
Yep.
award. He goes, "Congrats." I go, "Congrats for what?" I mean, he had to send me a link to figure it out.
Got to stop. That has got to stop. If you act like a second-rate citizen, you're going to get treated like a second-rate citizen.
Right.
You need to, and when I mean you, I mean wargamers need to step up and say, "I am proud to be a wargamer, and this is what I do, and look at what I've got." Like, you're exactly right, Mark. When the CSR awards came out, they should have been a banner on the BGG site, or they should have been promoted every single place that gamers go.
Right.
It's like they're frightened because it's war games. They want to keep quiet. Don't upset anybody. It's war games, conflict. Maybe it's that. I don't know, a psychological thing. I don't know how these people think.
I don't even think the CSRs were mentioned on BGG.
Well, the committee, I don't know who all is on the committee, but I would suggest that the committee go out to publishers. God knows, I get an email a day. "Hi, I'm hosting this convention in Bodunk, Spokane, Washington. We'll have 13 people. Would you contribute a game for our giveaway?" Every day. I'm sure every publisher does. My point here is that committee needs to go out to publishers and ask for money. Say, "Hey, we're going to put an ad up on Board Game Geek. We're going to put an ad on ICV2. We're going to put an ad on Tabletoptopia," or whatever it is. And those cost money. And we just want every publisher to give us some money to put the ad. I know I would. And I would be real surprised.
He's on the board. He's writing all this down, and we appreciate that.
Ryan. And I know Ryan's listening very carefully. Yeah.
As I said earlier, I'm very surprised. I know a lot of the publications are in-house. I'm very surprised that none have said, "Can we have an interview? Can we take some pictures? Can we do a full center spread? Just to get it out there." I'm surprised.
Yeah.
I am more than surprised. I told you guys, texted you the other day. I am flabbergasted. I am absolutely upset that this happened. When Herman gets War Game of the Year and nobody says jack diddly squat about it, that is a problem. And it's not because Herman's a buddy of mine and I want to congratulate him. It's because this should not have happened. This should be a thing. This should be a super big thing. It should not be thrown in the dumpster like nothing happened. It's ridiculous.
I know in their defense, they are trying to meld it and change it from the big gap there were.
Ryan's on the committee and Art Wolf's on the committee. Art Wolf's in charge of it, I believe. Right? Yeah.
And they're all
this year. They should have done something, I think.
And they're all volunteers.
Yeah,
I understand that. But I mean, I will say right now that if they came to me for next year and said, "Will you give us some money so we can buy ad space on appropriate places," the Flying Pig will give them some money. And I don't care if I don't have a game up, though I would be stunned if we don't. I'm sorry, I didn't.
But it's. Don't get us wrong. We are not talking about the committee. We're not talking about.
We appreciate.
We're not talking about them. We're talking about war gamers. We're talking about YouTubers. We're talking about anyone that has anything to do with YouTube. Should have been contacting Herman and saying, "I need to get you on my show because you just won War Game of the Year. I need to talk to you. I need you on my show." And when we don't do that,
people will be interested in
makes us look bad as a whole.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Right.
So maybe it can improve next year. I think the things they did well this year, I think it was a very good site. I think the way to vote was very easy and well understood.
Right.
God knows.
All my relatives. Communication. Everyone knew you had till June 30th to make your vote. You had till that day. Communication is the key.
Right.
Well, only if you're on Facebook. That's where I saw it, and maybe a bit on Twitter. I didn't see it anywhere else.
YouTube.
Gary was promoting it.
They only announced that the final the final show, I mean, the only time I saw it was on YouTube, and they announced it on Friday that was going to be on Dan's show on Sunday.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, that was kind of short notice.
There should have been an exciting build-up, like the World Series or the World Cup or something. There should have been a good build-up to it, so you're excited.
And I just happened to stumble across it on YouTube. Right. It wasn't mentioned anywhere.
So maybe next year we can help do that. I mean, I said,
we just need to. Everyone needs to take a baby step forward, and a baby step, and a baby step, and hopefully get things moving forward in the right direction.
I mean, compared to last year, this has been a tremendous improvement.
Yes. It has been. It has been. Yep.
Yeah.
Definitely has been. And I appreciate all the work that everyone put into it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think it is definitely a step in the right direction. And again, this has got nothing to do with anybody that's on the committee. We're not talking about any of them or the things that they did. We're talking about wargaming hobby as an industry, and the people. There are hundreds and thousands of wargamers out there. Not a single one posted congratulations to Herman on our Facebook group. Like it was not even a thing. And as Herman said, I didn't even know I won until somebody emailed me and said congratulations. I mean, this should have been a thing. Like everyone should have been talking about it. This is our Super Bowl, man, and we all just ignored it like it's nothing. And that's a shame. That is a damn shame. And I'm going to get everyone fired up because I'm fired up. So
I agree, and we can work towards making it better for next year. Obviously, we can start now.
Absolutely.
They used to have at Origins. They used to have the best historical war game, or was it board game? Not self-promotion, actually, although I don't shy away from that, because Lock and Load won it like in 2006 or something like that, and they've done away with that category at the Origins Awards.
Yeah,
and that used to be kind of a big thing. And again, it all comes back to what you're saying is being noticed as being a part of board gaming. Not necessarily, although it's great to bring in people from the outside to start gaming, but let's just worry about the people that like to war game and get them to yell loud enough that the people that run events and whatnot say, oh, this is also a category. This is also a section of gaming.
Yeah, I feel like it's the board game community, and then there's the war game community, and where, I'm part of both, but that big one is there, and we're right over in the corner, the war game one. But if we shout loud enough, as you said, Mark, the board game community might hear a few of the cries and think, hello, what's all that about? And maybe then let's find out a bit more about this.
Right. There's a couple of people on Board Game Geek that have crossed over and are playing more and more war. I mean, even Rodney is playing some more war games. He's playing a lot of GMT games. So it's starting to take hold a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Liz
absolutely.
Davidson, right?
Yep.
Tony's
bringing up a great
I mean,
point.
Coin is a big crossover. David Thompson's games are a big crossover. And we just have to exploit that a little bit.
I think the Coin was kind of that. So if you asked me what was the first game I bought I'll tell you Fire in the Lake. That was literally the first game that I bought, a war game that I bought. I actually got it at a local game store. It was damaged, so I got a discount on it. So I was pretty stoked about that.
You're always looking for a bargain.
Always. This hobby's too expensive as it is.
Don't worry about it.
is.
But it's one of those things that the reason why I like Coin so much is one is it's not just war. Yeah, it's war, but there's also politics involved. There's also economic issues involved. I would honestly say that if somebody that enjoyed Euros would enjoy a coin game in a heartbeat. Actually,
I would agree with you in a second.
I think they might enjoy it better. It's because I think they might enjoy it better.
They might,
because it's easier than some of these Euro games. And as you guys were saying earlier, these Euro games, a lot of times you have to play them 5 or 6 times to even get them to really understand what you're doing. And they're just as expensive You look at some of those Euro games. Even you go to GameFound and Kickstarter, they're 100 plus easily.
Some of the Euro trash games, they're stupid amounts of money. You know, like getting on for 100 good old English pounds.
But to your point, Tony, I have a hard time playing a lot of those big.
I can't play
crunchy Euro games because my brain. You have to change the way your brain works in a lot of cases, right? If you're an old school war gamer, getting your brain to adjust to a real traditional Euro game's tough often, right? I mean,
because you're planning ahead, and you can actually plan ahead pretty much on most Euro games. And while a lot of the war games, sometimes you gotta think on your feet because things change all the time.
Yeah. Right. I think, you know, that's my whole premise in war game design is thinking on your feet. What happened last, right? You know, and reacting to it.
I think,
and sometimes I do like the Euro part where you can plan ahead. Sometimes I'm in the mood for that, and sometimes I'm in the mood for chaos.
Right.
So I like playing the bots on these because that's all they do is throw chaos into your plan. So,
exactly. Right.
You know, and
they're unpredictable.
That's where it is.
Right.
Yeah. I think with me with Euros and Coin, you know, I'm not a fan of Coin, but I appreciate they're very popular. I'm hoping the British way I'll enjoy that. I've got a copy of that. But they seem to be like puzzles where you have to solve a puzzle, whereas a war game, as the well-known saying goes, the first casualty in any battle is the plan, you know, so chaos creeps in. So that's what I love about it.
Well, it's the difference between playing chess, war game chess, or war game simulation, right?
Yeah.
What is real war like, but what is a war game chess game like? So I always want to outthink my opponent, but if you're playing a simulation, as the way we design is it's an experience. It's trying to put yourself in the shoes of a general.
Yeah,
on a battlefield, and that's chaos. Battlefields are chaos. That's
even a squad leader, you know, down at the level. You know, it's.
So it comes down to what do you want to play as a game? What is your required experience? You know, what do you want to do today? And every even war games do it differently. Euro games do it differently, and I think that's great for the hobby.
But I think coin games are a great way to bring people in from.
I agree, and I'm with you because I don't get coin games. Don't work in my brain.
I've got the British way. I've got the British way home because it's the British way, and I'm going to try and do little mini games. I'm hoping.
But I agree. They're a terrific gateway game into drawing people into the GMT catalog.
Well, what they should do then is people who make these sort of games, i.e., GMT and others, they should be going to non-war game conventions, and I know it costs a lot of money, or just to board game conventions, setting something up and saying, "Give this a go."
Right.
Trying to get people in. It's not tanks and armies, but it's a coin game. It's economics. It's all this. I'm surprised they don't
have a booth at WBC, and WBC has gone more to the general gaming crowd than the wargame crowd. But there was a pretty good wargaming presence there. But I agree.
I've got to hit that soon. I've got to hit that.
I mean, that is another one of these. WBC, great event, promotion for war gamers. But again, it's a stepping stone that should be taken to the next level. I think it's not promoted well enough. I would love to go to that. In fact, Herman, we talked about that going earlier this year. I completely forgot about it because I didn't see any articles about it. I didn't even know when it was. And then all of a sudden it was here. I was like, damn, I guess I'm not going again. So it's one of these things that it needs to be promoted, advertising, or whatever needs to be done to let people know about it so that they can plan ahead of time.
But it's difficult because they're so understaffed. You see, that's always the rub. Like, what's going on this weekend? Does everybody know?
Gen Con is going on.
Okay. Gen Con, right?
Well, you see it all over Twitter. You see it on Instagram.
Absolutely.
You see it on Facebook. But I guarantee you, there isn't some guy named Bubba who's doing the marketing in his spare time in his underwear at 2 a.m. They hired somebody that's sharp, hired somebody that's young, and they're doing all that. And why can they do that? Because they make so much freaking money at the convention. So it's a real hard thing to break. And that's probably what's going on with WBC. I was telling Herm, because I was talking with him after he went, last time I went was right before COVID, which so it was 2019. I went in 2018 and 2019. I took the company there, and back then they had one hall for war games, and I'm talking vendors, and one hall for like Ameritrash, Euro games for vendors. So I mean, it was doing reasonably well. But Herm says now they're down to one hall, and that's not even.
Yeah, it's one building, and then Decision Games has their own little hallway.
They had that last time. But I mean, to be honest, and this is totally orbital and not what we're talking about, but people can say what they want to say about Origins. I had a great time. I had a fantastic time. That vendor hall, that was a piece of crap. I mean, that was about a third of what I've seen in the past. But maybe it's because they're building back up. Maybe it's because so many people just buy from Amazon or buy from Noble Knight, and that's just the way of the future. My Fitbit, when I was at the beach, my Fitbit crapped out. So I was going to be a good citizen and go to Walmart here in Martinsville, Virginia, and buy a Fitbit, buy local. So I wasted my freaking time. I get there and all they have are pink Fitbits. I'm fairly secure in my masculinity, but I'm not going to wear a pink Fitbit around. Okay. So all that to go there and find that out took an hour and 20 minutes. I went back to the office, and literally 90 seconds later, I had a black Versa 4 headed to me from Amazon.
Yeah,
and it's got to be the same with board games, I guess.
So at WBC or the vendors market, I always thought that the vendors do deals, and you go to your convention to get the game at a cheaper price, and you could get
They do.
Well, you say shipping, certainly. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I always discounted. They all discount. I'm pretty sure. Don't you think, Herm, from
last
year?
Yeah, they're all a little bit lower. Yeah.
And then you don't have to pay shipping. So
you don't have to pay shipping. So that's a big thing, right?
I mean, and you probably don't even need to pay tax there either. I don't know, but
you're supposed to. But yeah.
Well, I got to say, the vendor area was pretty. And I don't know if Ryan's still on because he was there with me. The vendor area was pretty quiet. It wasn't that big swarming, that I remember back when the WBC was at Lancaster. The vendor area was pretty crowded all the time.
How many years ago was that, Herm?
Boy, what do you think, Mark? The last time I was at WBC in Lancaster was
7 years ago.
7 years ago.
Yep.
So
I remember last time I was there, and you'll love this, Jester. The last time I was there, the booth next to me was APPA. The only time they ever came, and they're right there in Lancaster, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, yes, they are.
Yeah, they were there because I mean I think they just dodged bankruptcy.
Okay,
and they'd gone to printing sheets of the cards. So you'd have to tear them to get your team rather than remember how they used to send them to you in a brown manila envelopes. You used to have I don't know if you played that.
Yeah, I got thousands and thousands of them right there.
Yeah.
So,
by the way, Rob Swordsman's into baseball now, Mark. Did you know that?
Oh, are you?
Show him, Rob.
Get the hat out. Yep.
There you go.
Watching my team every night when they're playing. I'm playing a few games as well. Playing a few games.
What game are you playing, Rob?
Well, the problem is because I'm over here and you games are over there.
Right.
It's shipping. There's a couple I'd like History Maker Baseball. I'd like to try that. Bar I'd like to try, but the cost is so daft in shipping that I have to look for games that are print and play.
Right.
So
have you heard of Dead Ball?
You mean
okay, I'm gonna guess not.
Yeah. No, yeah. You're talking about the ball itself when they used to play it.
The game. So there was an era in American baseball
before
where
1929. I know. Yeah.
Okay, right. Okay, there you go.
When they used to use the ball until it fell to bits.
Very good, Jester, man.
Well, it didn't have the juice that they have today. But anyhow, there is an amazingly fun game called Dead Ball, and you can get it. You can get it right off Wargame Vault or whatever download thing, and it's fun. That's all I can say. You can get it off Wargame Vault for probably $14. So that's probably like 700 pounds. I don't know. But anyhow, you can download it.
What I'm playing at the moment is Season Ticket.
I've heard of that. Yeah,
that's a free download, but then you have to buy the teams. And the other one is Deep Drive. I'm able to go at as well.
I've never heard of that. Okay.
Yeah, they're all print and play. You see. Yeah, that's the problem. Is the bloody shipping.
Yep.
That's part of the issue. But anyways, back to
sorry.
The fact that it's all right. The fact that we got a great game, and what I'm talking about specifically, obviously, A Most Fearful Sacrifice, and then I know it's been well received. I've gotten hundreds of people posting comments and pictures on our little Facebook group about it. And so we have you two to thank for that, because without you two, again, I'm sure there was more than just you two on your team, but thank you guys for producing it and congratulations on winning the War Game of the Year, even though nobody even give it two hoots. I give a 2 hoots. That's important.
Well, so thank you guys. I think it was amazing. Yeah.
And like you said, Rick Barber, God rest his soul, put a lot of time and effort into your production as well. So we got him to thank. And there's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears that go into each one of these games. And whether they win War Game of the Year or not, there's still a lot of blood, sweat, and tears that go into them. So everyone out there, thank you for your dedication to try and produce or manufacture or create the best war games out there, because without good war games, everything we talked about tonight is not going to happen, right? 2 years from now, we go to show people war games and they're crap. Nobody cares. We're going to be thrown in the corner again, and we do not want that to continue. That's what I'm saying.
I don't think wargaming or designing war games will become complacent, because it's such a small niche. You've got to keep going and pushing it forward, haven't you? I suspect you can't become complacent and sit on your laurels.
I think what happens is, I can only speak for myself. I'm not thinking of pushing things forward. I'm just playing new games and getting new ideas and incorporating them in my designs.
Isn't that pushing it forward?
And well, yes, it is. Yep. That's thing one. Thing two, if you take the long road, that was 3 years worth of design. A year and a half into it, I had actually was liaisoning with a doctor of history, and he was giving me the complete order of battle for 1985, down to what underwear everyone was wearing. And I was looking at it and I said, this ain't me. This is bullshit. You can get 1 million of those games. What you can't get is the thing that really excites me and has really excited me ever since I saw Underworld, and that is nut and bolt combat against nut and bolt paranormal. Not silly ass shit, but real down to the earth, how it would work type fighting. That's why, I've met a couple of people and they say, oh, yeah, that's that game with zombies. And I go, no, you stupid shit. That's not the game with zombies. That's the game that shows you what if these creatures existed and they fought our current weapons with our current laws of physics. A tank cannon round from a T-72 will still blow the holy shit out of a vampire. It doesn't matter. That hits you in the chest, it hits you in the chest. It doesn't matter. And it was that excitement of doing a game like that, realizing I was taking a chance. If I had not, with the long road, if I had not put in any of these paranormal things and it just made it your absolute 1985 platoon level game, I'd have sold twice as many games easily. But I'm happy that I did what I did. Right. And in that sense, yes, it's pushing the envelope. But I didn't do that to push the envelope. I just did it because that's the game I love to play, and that's what I wanted to do.
Absolutely.
But that's a perfect example of a war game that goes outside its borders, right? You're thinking outside the box. You're trying to draw more people in. I mean, I want people, and like you do, I want people playing my games, right?
If you're going to talk to a Euro gamer, if we're all sitting down in Origins, and I say to someone, "Hey, let's play a game," and they go, "What kind of game is it?" And I go, "Oh, it's got some tanks," and "Oh no, it's a war game." "Oh no," and I go, "Oh, it's got vampires also." "Oh,
right.
Wait a minute now, hang on a
second.
What do you got there? What do you got?" So that's what we need. We need some of that. We need more of that, actually.
And to Dean's point, I design games because I want more and more people to play them. I'm trying to make it more attractive to more people to draw them in, right? I'm not just hammering out, the same stuff all the time. We're trying to think outside the box, as Mark just demonstrated. So we're trying to draw in more people to the wargaming hobby. It's not anti-wargaming, it's pro-wargaming. We're trying to bring more people in.
Right, absolutely.
I'm just wondering if all designers from all spheres in the wargaming world are thinking like that, Herman.
I don't think so. I mean, I know there's certain, and it's their prerogative. They design.
There are certain people who expect to know what they're getting. Yeah, when that person designs a game, but unfortunately, we're not getting any younger. And when that customer base is gone, what are you going to do?
Well, exactly. The same 200 people that will buy that game, and that's fine. Everybody has, games for everybody in this hobby, right?
Yeah.
I try to design games, and Mark tries to design games to see if we can draw more people into the hobby.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I mean, there's different ways to do that. I would say that most people, my gut feeling is most people that are designing games that interest them. So they aren't, I don't know, but somewhere along the line, I thought that answered your question, Ruff. I think they are designing games that interest them. And there are many people around that still like, for lack of a better word, and this is kind of ignorant to say this, but would like a standard war game. And God knows I like standard war games. And if that's what excites them to design, then that's what they should design. On the other hand, if they want to design a game about Gettysburg where the Confederates have, where the Confederates have some type of energy cannon or something.
AK-47.
Right. And then, have at it. Do it.
Right.
My favorite one is always the meme where I see when Grant calls in air support and it's an A-10 Warthog flying in over getting. Yeah, it's great. Right. If you've noticed in the chat, I've been actually putting posts to links to a lot of the games from both Tiny Battle Publishing, which is one of Mark Walker's companies, as well as Flying Pigs, and almost all of them are Hermann Luttmann's games. He's got quite a few, but check them out if you're curious. If you stumbled across this, Tiny Battle Publishing, inexpensive games. If you like arts and crafts, you can get them for.
I've got invited from Dimension X as a PDF from the Wargame Vault because again it was cheap, and I've made my little game out of that. So and have great fun with it.
Well, thank you for doing that, Tony.
Somebody had made a mention we should be doing that, so I took the initiative to follow that suggestion because these are the people that actually buy the game. So let's make sure we can get them right too. If we're talking about a game, let's put it up there and let's show it off.
Right.
As
Thank
Jesper
you, Tony.
was saying,
That.
we gotta advertise it as well.
You got to shout from the rooftops.
Yeah, I mean, we've been shouting for 3 years on our War Room show every Saturday at 4:00 here on our channel, and we'll continue to shout and from high atop the mountain, and hopefully some other people will listen. And we're not trying to talk down about anybody or anything. We are trying to promote and make things better. We're not trying to talk down about something. We want to make sure that people understand we're just trying to get things to move forward and make everything greater. And the better the industry, the better the games, the better we're all going to be. The more people will get in, and it's just a big cycle that goes through. So,
right.
No matter what war game it is, there's somebody out there that loves it, and that's all there is to it. I mean, it's true. Variety is a spice of life. Chris, that's another one. Chris, it's your fault. Look, you got me doing blooming baseball card.
He's got rough swordsman playing some baseball. So
it's all you lot. But yes, variety is a spice of life.
Right. And Ruff, to your point before, when you asked about designers should design what they love and what they know and like what Mark said, what you'll want to play yourself. Then you'll put your full heart into it.
Yeah, passion. Yeah, I think that's the word. Yep. And it comes across like an actor, like a musician. If you're giving a passionate performance, the audience picks up on it. It's the same with a designer of a game. You can see the passion and the love that got into it. Yeah. Yeah.
And we're not saying there's anything wrong with hex and counter games. We're not saying there's anything wrong with coin games. We're not saying there's anything wrong with Memoir 44. Those are all great games and all great systems. And whatever you enjoy, you play, you have a great time with. And we just hope that we can share a little bit with you all and move forward and try and make this industry just a little bit better, make it a little bit brighter,
Right.
And we thank the people that.
I just want to throw out there is something wrong with Memoir 44.
What's that?
The paratroop rules. Have you ever played a paratroop scenario? You literally hold the soldiers and drop them. Outside of that, I'm a huge fan.
It's a dexterity game. It's a dexterity game.
Yeah. That was a little too much.
Oh, boy.
If they don't land and stand up, then they're out.
No, it just decides where they're going to be, and then you stand them up,
No, but the designer put that rule in with passion because he believes.
Chris loves it. Chris, Lower Slower Board Games loves the paradrop rule.
Yeah.
Does he? Great. So there's somebody for every game.
There you go.
Exactly. It works.
What, I may think it's the worst game ever, but somebody out there loves it, and that's good enough for me. Yeah. So,
Yep.
Absolutely.
Variety, the spice of life.
Well, everyone, thank you so much for coming out tonight. We do appreciate it. We kind of went over a little bit over, but we were having such a good time talking and everything. Ruff, thank you so much for staying up late. It's
been a pleasure.
Thank you, Ruff.
Great company.
Thank you very much.
Tony, thanks for coming back. Tony was on vacation and came back early just so he could be here tonight.
Tony.
I was in a small German village in Michigan called Frankenmuth. Wow. No, actually, it was Frankenmuth. It was founded by Germans in the 1800s. So it's like all I had plenty of good German food. Yeah, it was good.
There's also a Hermann the Great statue in Minnesota.
They have recognized you.
Yes.
And of course, Mark, congratulations to Flying Pig Games for the award. Congratulations to yourself for the long road and your award for that as well. Herman, congratulations for your game.
Thank you. And thank you to everybody for your support out there. We couldn't do it without you.
My problem is I want to get that game to the table, but I've got so much else I want to play too.
Oh my God.
I'd love to get Champion Hill to the table. I want to get your new one or from the new one from that series on that one as well. So keep them coming. I'd rather have that. I would rather have that problem than not having enough to choose from. I'd rather have too much to choose from.
I agree.
Herman and Mark, I'll give you 2 minutes each. Tell us what is your next, what's coming up for you guys? What are you going to be? Any world premieres that you want to share? Go ahead.
Only 2 minutes.
Only 2 minutes. You only get 2 minutes. Go ahead, Herman.
Go, Herman. Go.
No, you can go first.
Well, for Flying Pig Games, what we have coming up is next very soon, as soon as I get 85 off to the printers, so people won't yell at me for putting up another Kickstarter, we're going to do Old School Tactical Volume 4, which is the Mediterranean, Sicily, and that type of stuff. I'm very excited about that. Shane's done a great job. He's been so patient with me because I know he wants to get the modern version up. He's done all kinds of work on it. But first, we got to do this. After that, we're probably going to sneak in a expansion that I'm working on for the Long Road. Then by December, and all these are Kickstarters. That's why we only put out so few games per year. And then in December, we'll be Rock of Chickamauga. And then for Tiny Battle, we have Conquering the Valley coming up. Then we have Rifles in Vietnam. Then we have an unnamed game from Hermann Luttmann that's a science fiction title that we can't tell you about yet. So, yeah.
What do you mean? You're the owner of the company. You can say whatever you want.
I can't because there's still unknown things with it. That's all I can say.
You're the owner. There's nothing stopping you.
Are you frightened of spies in industrial espionage or something?
I don't want to. Yeah.
He doesn't want to promise anything that he can't deliver on.
Right. Okay. It's all right. It's fair. All right. Okay.
All right, Herman. What do you got coming up?
All right. Well, the big thing now is Rock of Chickamauga, which is the next game in the Black Swan series after A Most Fearful Sacrifice, and that is taking a lot of work, a lot of research. The Battle of Chickamauga is a very complex battle, but boy, it is so interesting. I think people are going to love this. And we got the same team working on the playtesting and the art and all that kind of stuff. So it's going to be, I think people are going to love it. I have an unnamed science fiction game in the future.
Okay, good.
I got.
Actually, it's been named. We just can't tell the name.
Well, we might change the name.
You got something else coming out here shortly.
Yeah, right. So the elephant in the room is all my White Dog games will be coming out. Well, most of them will be coming out with somebody else, maybe a couple other people. I won't give any details yet. I have Miracle at Dunkirk. I got the final rule set from Don Herndon, who is the developer for that for Legion Wargames. So,
dude, I've been
waiting. We'll be able to play Dunkirk very soon. Finally, after 5 years or something like that.
Is that the
revamped
version of the earlier one?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's a little.
Is that the revamped version of the earlier Dunkirk?
Yes. So it's based on A Spoiled Victory, but it's expanded. You have to move the naval vessels around and pick guys up and bring them back to Dover, and it's a little bit more involved, a little bit more expansive.
Between
what else? I got Ryan Heilman and Fred are working on a fantasy cooperative war game for Blue Panther.
How about Plum Island Horror?
Plum Island.
Wait for that.
Plum Island Horror is at the printer.
Yay!
And we will be
looking forward to that.
Demonstrating
Are we talk about the world premiere of that, maybe?
Yes, we'll be demonstrating that in the very near future on this very channel.
Oh, nice.
Yes, for an hour. We won't bore everybody with a 5-hour extravaganza or something like that. We'll just go through the basics and show how it works.
It looks like we're shooting for Tuesday. We'll stay tuned. We'll finalize everything and then we'll let you guys know on that.
Okay. And I'm continuing work on the new Blind Swords Napoleonics for Revolution games. The Battle of Leipzig. I know.
Excited, Herman. I'm excited, man. I'm excited. Thank you.
Yep.
I know.
And I'm sure I'm forgetting something, but it's fine.
So everyone, thank you so much for coming out tonight. We do appreciate it, Mike and Fred and Lower Slower Board Gamer and Ryan. Good to see you, my friend, and Daniel and Nerd Workshop. Thank you, Stuka Joe, good friend of the channel. Thank you all. We appreciate everyone coming out and checking out our episode today. Mark and Herman, thank you guys for spending a little bit of time tonight.
Oh, it was a lot of fun. Thank you.
It was our pleasure.
Yep.
Well, my
Tony
pleasure.
and
I
Ruff.
can't speak for Herman. He might have hated it.
Tony and Ruff, we'll see you guys Saturday at 4 o'clock.
Not me. Not
Oh,
me.
that's right. You're off. Yes.
Yep.
I've
But
seen
you got Matt White on Saturday, right?
Matt White.
We've got Matt White on Saturday.
Nice. Matt's great.
We got tomorrow, have we, Tony? You're away then?
Yes. Tomorrow, 3 o'clock, normal time.
8
We're going to
p.m.
finish off. We're going to finish off
What are you
last
doing?
100 yards.
Last
Oh, okay.
100 yards. Yeah.
Cool.
And then we'll talk about what we're going to play next.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for coming out tonight. Herman, Mark, Tony, Ruff.
Thank
see
you.
all very, very soon. Until then,
Thanks,
my
everyone.
friend, we'll see you next time down the road.
Thank you.
Mwah.